All right. Six lines from the top of Mem Hey. Line starts ve-achar tzimtzum. To create the world can be created only from a ha-arah, not from the etzem hoyer. And as we explained, the principle involved. And in brief, world, by definition, represents something that is coming into being, that is not of a primary state. This is why in the world there is multiplicity, where one thing supports the other. There is not an entity, in the world is not an entity that includes the entire reality. By combining all kinds of different elements, it represents something real. Like we said, the ha-arah of Ein Sof. But it in itself is not Ein Sof. It is ha-arah, it is representative of that. In order to create world, it has to be ha-arah. Ha-arah chitzenis it's called. Because Oyer Pnimi has that reality, and therefore it has no shachas to world. In order to have world, it has to be ha-arah chitzenis. I said chitzenis means it does not have an inherent reality. It is representative and alluding to something. It doesn't have in its own inherent reality as mit chitzenis. In order to bring out this ha-arah chitzenis, where there is only Ein Sof, there had to be a tzimtzum. And the tzimtzum, this is what we discussed, that the tzimtzum, there is his salmus ha'oyer, but the oyer is concealed. And particularly the most important principle in this is that the pnimius ha'oyer is concealed. So we use the following metaphor, which is very revealing and very accurate. We said that in light there are two levels in light. There is what's called oyer lehoyer, oyer, that is that is a functional oyer. It makes things visible. It makes It shows you that aspect of the thing that you can say. You shine a light on an object, and you can see the object. This is what's called the functional. This is the ha-arah of oir, because the real meaning of oir is what we call daylight, like it says in the Pasuk, "Vayikol kim lo oir yoim." And day is a completely different meaning of oir. It is not oir to facilitate something. It is oir in its own value, not to facilitate visibility or anything else. That oir does not lend itself to be interpreted on a worldly level. As a matter of fact, in truth, that oir, that in essential oir, as it says right in the beginning of the Chumash, that the Rebbe created oir, and then he concealed it, because world and this oir cannot combine. It eliminates the whole phenomenon of world, because that oir does not recognize that darkness exists. World, on the other hand, since world has to be has tangibility, has a structure, therefore there has to be fundamentally darkness. That's how the world initially surfaced. Therefore, there's a tzimtzum in the soir, and then what remains after the tzimtzum. Okay, let's go inside now. Between ve-achar tzimtzum nishan nekudas harshima. After the tzimtzum, there remained a nekudas harshima, a nekuda, just a moment, just a point. That is called the Rishima. Rishima means a roishim, an allusion to the Ayin. Nakuda zo kelas betoicha. This nakuda incorporates within it all bechinas ha'oir, all aspects of oir. She is gala b'chol ha'ishtosos, that will surface or be revealed in the entire histalsus. So coming back, it will still be discussed here. Coming back to our mashal of daylight versus light. Like we mentioned even yesterday and discussed this at great length another time, that someone who had experienced light can never be in total darkness again, because he had seen the fundamental reality of light. Therefore, even though he is now in the dark, and now the light that he is using is a focused light that's called the ha-arah. To him, this ha-arah is an allusion to the true light, even though it itself does not really possess it, but it's an allusion to it. In other words, when he sees an object, step back a moment. We always explain the difference between seeing something and touching something. Now, the tangibility of an object and the visibility of an object. Where the tangibility is a knowledge that is the result of personal experience. It's not knowing the object as it is unto itself, knowing the truth of the object, knowing the object because it has a true presence. knowing its effect upon my hand. I touch it, I feel it. Visibility, seeing something, since you're seeing it, you know its existence and its true existence, without coming in contact with it, that already brings out the principle that this is a true presence. I know it without even being affected by it. It's there. This is called the reality of the object. Now, here is a very important thing, which is a little subtle. I hope we can follow this. Even though that once we are in the dark, and the way we see is due to a focused light that shines on the object, and as the natural process is, it reverberates from the object and hits our eye, and even a camera can see it and so forth. Nevertheless, we see through this light something much more than what this light actually narrowly represents. We see much more than what the camera sees. What we see is that this is an illusion. This is, yes, it's a subset of light, but this subset is a subset of the Or HaYoim, of the real light. Now I see it I see only a narrow vision, because there is light fine. But this light that shines on it is actually a subset, a representative of the real light, of light that, like what we said, what is the difference between daylight and a focus light, a candlelight? Candlelight makes you see the object because the light shines on the object. Daylight removes darkness altogether. Daylight presents you the object in a manner that, hey, it's not possibility that you shouldn't see it. You see it because it's visible, not because you see it. It's an active pursuit. This element of daylight, this element of, so to speak, of light that alludes to the truth of the object, is concealed in the dark, but nevertheless it is not totally eliminated. It remains in the reality. This is what we call the Rishima. An illusion, an element of the original light, of the original reality, remained. And from this original, this is where everything else is actually emanates. This is a very important principle, because if we should limit ourselves, and we should say no, we only have that which is effectuated by the function of light, we will end up with the blindness of the scientist, where he tells us nothing. But the light, vision and tangibility is exactly the same. But it's not the same. Yeah.
So we have the light during the day, the light that alludes to the reality of day.
Right.
And then at nighttime, it's concealed, but it remains. What remains? The reality that's alluded to?
A Rishima. Only a Rishima.
Of what? Of the
reality? The impression of it. Of the reality,
yeah. Or of the light that alludes to the reality?
The light that alludes to reality. Your experience. The Rishima is your experience. But that remains. And this light, the limited light, is a direct allusion to it. This is the fundamental difference between touch and light and sight in our state. And this is our dispute with the worldly view. We say that we see not with physical lights, but we see with our neshama, we see with our chokhmah and of course our nefesh. How do you see with kochas nefesh? You see there's a light that this light alludes to the truth that this thing is visible and it cannot be. It is a real truth. It cannot not be. One more point. This description, where we have the Rishima, as we said, all the oilers are from Misgal and Seder Shtalsos are contained in this Rishima. Because this Rishima, as we're going to see, is a Rishima of the Oishel Ifnei HaTzimtzum. It's a Rishima of the oil that is, so to speak, an essential truth, not a functional truth. The similar process, the similar elements, mandreges, exist in the Nefesh HaAdam. Even though the Ramama doesn't mention it, but I have an opportunity, I want to point this out. The Nefesh, this is a godly truth. This is a godly reality. The Nefesh does not know that there is such thing as world. That is something that is not real. The Nefesh cannot relate to physicality at all. It has to go through the body and all kinds of different things. The Nefesh can't relate to it. Because Nefesh knows only the primary reality of godliness. As we discussed the other day, the difference between moral and godliness. Then the Nefesh, in effect, goes through a tzimtzum. And it is mishlabesh in the guf ha'odom. And the hislapshus primarily is in the brain through the function, through the faculty of chokhmah. Chokhmah, this is already the oil that is that goes into Seder Ishtalsus, as we learned before. That chokhmah contains all the aspects of all the kochas HaNefesh, and from that, all the kochas HaNefesh ultimately are drawn and reveal themselves. So Chokhmah is already the way it is mislabish in the guf, even though it's, as we said all the time, very pure, but still it's mislabish in the guf. And it contains all the koiches, like we said in, in this element of Chokhmah, where this is the Oyer HaMislabik that has a shaykhs to, so to speak, to Koiches HaNefesh, there is an element what's called a Reshima. A Resha means an allusion, something that remains from the initial reality of the Nefesh itself. Not to the Tzimtzum, not to Hislapsus in the group, but as it is true unto itself. This is called Emunah. Emunah is not the Hislapsus in the group. The group cannot really translate what it is. And it's not affected by the group. Emunah is the neshama itself, but in a very, very mitzumtzum level way that allows for chokhmah, allows for seder ishtalsus. Again, just as in the moshel of the light, if not for our recognition of, so to speak, of the daylight, so to speak, of light, that light reveals the reality, then our seeing the individual object by focus light would have no significance. The same is true in our chokhmah, in our bina, in all our kochas HaNefesh. Even though they're all drawn from chokhmah and there is chayes HaNefesh, if not for the emunah, they would not have significance. Emunah is what gives them reality. This is what the Rambam says, even though the Rambam doesn't elaborate in this before. The first thing is to know that there is a first being. This first being has nothing to do with your experience. How do you know it? I know it because I know it, because I have it, because I have the nefesh. This is not something that you learn, not something that you experience. All reality in your own mind, in Chokhmah, are based on this emunah. Why? Because without this emunah, without the godly spark, nothing has a right to be, has a basis for being. If it is only a ha-arah, if it is only a functional thing, what does that stand for? Where does it come from? What gives it a presence? So everything that we understand, everything that we feel, they have all the koiches. It goes to the chokhmah. Chokhmah is a fine conduit. But what does chokhmah bring about? It brings this emunah nakuda. This emunah does not vary. Emunah means steadfast. This is the reality of the neshama itself. But the neshama is concealed from the guf. Yes, it is. It's concealed. But the nakuda of it remains in the person. Okay. Now you can ask your questions. The questions.
What makes a muna mitzumtzum? In other words, it's only in the kuda, not what is why.
This is the tzimtzum because it's still mislavish in the brain. If not for that, then the guf would have no nourishment in the neshama at all. The guf receives its chayas through chokhmah, through the brain. Chokhmah means that yes, it's true, but it's a conglomerate of a lot of different koiches.
So the emunah is not a ha-arah from Ratzon Ayin. It's really a piece of it, so to speak. So
Well, right. The emunah is really the effect of the Ratzon Ayin itself, which is the etzem ha-nefesh. Just as Ratzon Ayin, we cannot understand what that is. We don't understand that moment. But the important thing is that it is a so to speak an allusion to neshama, to pure neshama, not to pure neshama, but only an allusion, only a rishim. The union for Ratzon Anointing per se. Where do we see this? Where do we see the effect of this emunah? Where do we see the Ratzon Anointing, the effect of it in Chokhmah? So, we say, we just finished saying the other day that davening, what is davening? Davening is not that I'm asking for my bodily needs. That's the silliest thing, to stand in front of the king asking bodily needs. Davening is that I'm asking that I should have the godly presence in everything in my entire lifestyle. Everything should represent the God and the godliness. So, to demonstrate and to illustrate that this is in fact what we are looking for, and that this is really something which is higher than seichel. There is in bodily experience there's no difference. So I say a very simple illustration. Simple and emboshed. If you had all your needs, all your bodily physical needs, by thievery, by stealing it from other people, how would you feel about it? Any response?
not good.
Huh?
Not worth having.
not worth having. But you have what you eat, and you can provide for your family.
So, but it's not worth doing any of that.
Why?
Because
What's missing?
an answer, a reality.
Just as we had, I just want to elaborate. Of course, I expected that we have that response, because I believe that this is absolutely true. And this is true, almost on a universal basis. Please follow this. I'm late today, but I want to finish this. We have this motion that we elaborate a lot on the guest and the host. And we said that if the guest gets all he needs, but the host disappears, he loses value, he loses significance of his needs. Translate this on the broader part of human life. It's the identical reflection. If I have everything I need, but I don't have the host, I don't have the reality, the world does not really provide for me. The world is strange to me. It's not meant for me. But I have to steal, and I have everything I need. That's not a life. It's exactly the same thing. This is the union from the Rishim over here. Now, tomorrow Mitzvah will go into the Rishim itself, but this is the Nakuda. The Rishim is a Rishim of the godly truth itself. Without that, we don't want it. Even though we have all the faculties, we have Seichel and Midas, we can do everything. The essential life in it is that godly spark. Way above, it's higher than Chochmah. It's actually called in the Koitzer Shel Yud. The Yud is an Ois representing Chochmah. Koitzer Shel Yud representing this connection to that which is higher than Chochmah. That's like a Koitz. Koitzer Shel Yud protrudes upwards. It's connected to that which is above. This is it for this morning.
Good morning.
A Freiliche Chanukah.
Stando